This is the Signal 51 Chronicles, Murder in Rivercrest, the Koslow case. I'm John Henry. I'm here with my compadre, Jake White, former retired Fort Worth Police Sergeant. Back here somewhere is our producer, Ashley. Welcome back. It's our third episode since returning, and our third episode on the case in Rivercrest, the Koslow murder. Before we get there, what do you say we jump on the Police Blotter?
Let's check out the blotter.
It's a call in Tennessee somewhere, probably Johnson City, up there in the hills.
Yes.
The Appalachian. You ever been up to Johnson City?
No, I don't think so.
I haven't either, but it's deliverance type stuff. I know somebody from there. I think so.
Oh, okay. All right. You have a source of reference there.
So responding officers in Johnson City arrived to find an elderly woman trying to set her house on fire. For the insurance money, of course, right? No. Disarm the atom bomb, she said. She was certain this thing was ticking in her attic. So one quick-thinking officer talked her into walking calmly to his cruiser, assuring her it was the only place she'd be safe from the blast. Once inside, she realized that, wait a minute, I'm inside a police car. You're arresting me, aren't you? She said, you can't take me to jail. I haven't done anything wrong, she exclaimed. The officer explained, hey, we're just headed to the hospital. She only became more indignant. I am not crazy, she yelled. Keeping his composure, the officer said, hey, listen, I don't think you're crazy. But you were standing next to an atom bomb. You better get checked out for radiation poisoning. And according to this story, her eyes went wide and she said, quote, oh shit. I didn't think about that. We better hurry. You ever run across an elderly lady thinking she might have an atom bomb in her house?
Not with an atom bomb, but you get your more than your fair share of aliens and
Do you?
the government spying on you. Those are very, very common. Not an atom bomb though. No, I did not experience that.
I just get on Facebook and there's people thinking the government's spying on them.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I need new friends.
that's for sure.
Then there was this rookie cop, first night on the job, working the graveyard shift. What is that in Fort Worth? It's 7 to 7 or something, or what is that?
I think it's
No, it's like 11 to 8 or something.
no. Now I think it's like 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. somewhere in that ballpark.
It's a long night on the job,
Yeah, it is.
especially on the streets. It's a long night.
Yeah.
Does everybody have to work that first shift?
I mean, you don't have to. Most people do have a little run through that.
Did you? What was your first shift when you got on the job?
I worked 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I did, as a sergeant, have a short run on what we call midnights. Was not cut out. I mean,
It's overnights, right?
yeah, overnights. I'm over 40. I'm not cut out for staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. It did not work out well for me at all.
Do you remember your first call and your 2 to 10?
Not on my own, no.
Well, your training officer. This is a story about Ricky and his training officer. So what do you remember?
Oh, it was
That encounter?
Yeah, I mean, it was so uneventful because the training officer I had was, he was kind of done with the job himself. And so there was no going to look for crime. we would just let crime come to us. So the first one involved a burglary from a moving truck where like hundreds of pieces of property were taken out of this moving truck. So I spent the next 7 hours doing a report on that. I never actually left. We call them sectors. We never left the sector that shift.
Yes, were you interviewing? You'd already done your interviews, and
Oh, yeah.
you found all the stuff?
No, we didn't find any of it. No.
Somebody just came by the moving van and took it out.
The victim in this case came to the sector and said, "Hey, my moving truck just got broken into."
Oh, they came to you.
They came to us, so we never left.
You literally came.
It was terrible. So uneventful. So probably not. I have no clue what you're about to tell me, but I can guarantee you it was way more exciting than what I had.
Well, this rookie cop and his training officer, they roll up to a house where the homeowner swears someone's out in my yard creeping on my house. So they get out with the flashlights. They start sweeping the property. Apparently, according to the police report, the grass was up to the knees. Everything just dead silent, no noise, just everything quiet. Till the bright-eyed rookie, he spots something strange. It's a bright red and yellow Fisher-Price car. Toy. Was moving. They move in and they find their suspect. He's butt naked, high as a kite. Surprisingly, right? This guy's stoned out of his mind. Trying to crawl under the tiny plastic car. Very stealthy this guy is.
Kind of funny.
Or he thinks he is. Well, the training officer, probably like yours would have said, go handle this one, rookie.
Go ahead.
Well, apparently a full-on wrestling match with this naked this naked man occurred, but he finally corralled his man for his first booking, I guess you'd call that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with the deranged naked guy syndrome, if you will. But yeah, that too is not common, but it happens. We had our fair share of run-ins with similar type stories. So
anything specific that come to mind?
Yeah, we had one. It was we were working my buddy and I were working an overtime shift, and we were riding together. We call it a 2-man. And so we were riding together, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and one of the officers gets dispatched to a call about a burglary in progress. And this officer he was a big guy. He was older. I mean, at the time he was older, probably like
40.
Early 40s, maybe.
Right.
Good shape, and he would seldom have backup or assist units with him. He would usually just handle everything. He did fine. I'm not saying he was like some knuckle dragging, beating people up. It's just, frankly, most of the time, either the suspect's gone or you can, he must have done well at diffusing these situations.
Or he's John McClane, and that guy, Bruce Willis in the Christmas movie or whatever.
Yeah, no, he's not. Wasn't quite like that, but I see where you're coming at. And so one day, like I said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and he gets dispatched to this burglary. He says, "Hey, I don't need a backup unit." And then a couple minutes later, and he's a real soft-spoken guy, or was. I think he passed away. Gets on the radio and says, "Hey, I do need backup." So my buddy Chris and I were like, "Whoa, if he's asking, this has got to be good." And so we get to this house, and there's a dude in the front yard wearing some pajama pants and, like normal sleeping garb, and he's distraught and panicked. And the other officer, the midnight officer, was at the door, and he kind of motions for us to come up there. So the guy wearing the pajamas is in the front yard, and he's going on about there's somebody in my bed. So I immediately like, well, there's nobody in your, like, I think he's, whatever. I thought it was bullshit. Well, We go in the house, and we go in. It's over by Arlington Heights High School is where this happened.
Oddly enough.
Yeah, we've already discussed that place. And we go in the room, and there is a dude butt naked laying in this guy's bed. And he's asleep. So at this point, I'm kind of like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, I do not understand this. So we try to, look, I'm a germaphobe. Everybody that knows me will attest to that.
Yeah.
So I'm, get the edge of my baton, like trying to poke him in the chest or something. Like, oh man, I don't want to be anywhere near this. So finally, the guy wakes up. And you would think your typical reaction would be if there's 3 cops standing over you.
What the hell's going on here?
Like, you would freak out. Not this guy. He's just like, what's up? Looks at us. I'm like, I don't know. Why don't you tell us what's up? He's like, I'm just laying here in bed. So it gets even more confusing because I'm like, well, what if he is? Like,
this is his bed.
What if this is his bed? Like, what if this whole thing's a big misunderstanding?
Yeah.
And
Lover's quarrel. Who knows what's going on here?
The guy outside was, at this point, he is freaked out. And so we're like, no, this is not. Like, something's going on. So we're telling the guy, we're like, hey, get up. And he's like, no. He's not going to get out of bed. So he gets drug out of bed. He gets put in handcuffs. And we go outside. And when we get outside, deranged naked guy looks. And now all of a sudden, he's got a look of confusion on his face. Apparently, as the story goes, he leaves much like we discussed in some of our intros, where nothing good
happens after pick a time, midnight.
Yeah, or all good stories start at a bar.
Yeah.
Well, that's where he was earlier, and he thought he was in his own house. And he wasn't, so.
Was he a neighbor? Was he?
Yeah, like the street behind. So I got the street confused, I guess. He wasn't deranged, in that regard. He was just basically hammered. Coming
drunk
home.
And a little lost.
Yeah, drunk and a little lost. I'm sure. Frankly, we've all been there.
God bless him.
God. Anyway.
Haven't walked into the wrong house ever, but first for everything, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's time. All right, let's get back to our case. Koslow murder in Rivercrest. Let's look back what we discussed in episode 2, if I can remember it. So, police had initially focused their attention on Jack Koslow as the assailant and murderer of his wife, Karen Koslow, in March of 1992. The case changed course when police received a phone call from a young man who said he had some information that they probably would be interested in, which was a crowbar, some clothes, and he knew exactly where this stuff came from. Mm-hmm. That led to the eventual arrest of Jeffrey Dillingham, 19-year-old Jeffrey Dillingham, Brian Salter, about the same age, maybe a year younger, a year older, I think. And Salter's girlfriend, Kristi Koslow, the daughter of Jack Koslow.
The mastermind of it all.
Kristi, yeah.
Yes.
I can imagine that the interrogations were pretty quick. Those guys, and you can talk about this if you like, but those guys on the detectives in homicide are both savvy and shrewd, and also ruthless at the same time in their interviewing questions. And they're highly trained individuals.
Yeah.
by all reports, they all pretty much folded like
So
as
fast.
a friend said, used to say it folded like a cheap Robert Hall suit. I had to look that up when he told me that the first time, but so anyway, that's where we stand. And it didn't take long, of course, for the case like this, which was already highly publicized because of where it occurred and the victims. That could be another story in its own right. Highly affluent people, white, elderly, and then now you have this crazy-ass story about the daughter being involved in the attempted murder of her own father and the murder of her stepmother. So, of course, as this news broke, the media jumped even further to attention, rushing out to the home on Clark Avenue where Jack Koslow lived. Talk shows, of course, went nuts, speculating about the money and motive. It was just that kind of story. In the news business, we call it a talker.
A talker.
Yeah.
Okay.
People everywhere just talking about it. They can't get enough of it. The current age, it is a dream for internet traffic, website traffic. This type of story, everybody will be on there reading it, reacting to it, and getting that glorious engagement that news platforms are so desperate for. And then, of course, before she even became a suspect in this case, Kristi did something kind of strange.
Called her own press conference.
Called her own press conference.
We've seen that in other cases, or the weird responses at press conferences.
I can't remember. Did OJ call a press conference?
No, I don't think OJ did. But there's been other ones where they've called the press conference or they had the weird reactions.
I mean, she wasn't even really, at this point, when she does this, she really wasn't even on the radar, right? Because there was no reason to suspect her. Their focus was on Jack, the husband. They were certainly looking around Jack. That's where their full attention was at that point in time.
Again, like we mentioned earlier, I mean, you got to start somewhere. Had it not been for that phone call, who knows what happens?
Absolutely. But this to detectives, as you found out in your research, was strange that she would do this.
Yeah, there was definitely
and it certainly raised their antenna. Kristi going on stage, figurative stage, and asking for, justice in this case, that, she hoped the police succeeded in finding their killer, and in doing so, she kind of played the innocent card.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Why in the world is she doing that? Is what they wanted to know.
Get the heat off of her.
It didn't work.
No, it did not.
Like I said, the antenna went up. The phone call was made by that young gentleman who was friends with Dillingham, I believe, at the Blockbuster Video in Arlington. And we moved on to Jeffrey Dillingham's court case. That case ultimately, because of the media attention, was moved to Wichita Falls. Just simply because of that, because of the intense media scrutiny on this case. Dillingham's defense counsel successfully argued that he could not receive a fair trial in Tarrant County, specifically Fort Worth. Out to Wichita Falls we went. It's about 2 hours northwest of here in Fort Worth. And in that trial, in the opening statements, prosecutors called him the muscle, the man who was behind the brutal, traumatic force that killed Karen Koslow with a crowbar. Jurors, of course, were showed photos of the murder scene, the weapon, and even a handwritten map of the Koslow home that we think we know where that came from.
Next up, you got, so with Dillingham's conviction, the attention turns to Brian Salter, the boyfriend of Kristi. Ultimately, Salter pled guilty to capital murder in exchange for life in prison. and has promised to testify against Kristi.
He was the muscle on Kristi, right? Is what the
Yeah.
prosecutor saw, was he could nail her.
Yeah, and I think here's why. So in court, Salter described Kristi as the instigator, but here's the why. Salter said Kristi told him her father was abusive and that they would inherit millions once her parents were gone. The one thing that we haven't covered is how much. Kristi thought she was going to inherit $12 million. She promised Dillingham and Salter either $500,000 each or $1 million each. That was their motive. That's what led to this whole thing.
500,000 or $1 million?
500,000 or $1 million. There was some conflicting accounts on how much each were to get. Now, Salter thought, hey, if she's getting $12 million, then they were fiancé, they were engaged. So he's going to have access to that money. So once it was all said and done, he kind of painted himself out to be the pawn, but he was definitely not innocent, right? I mean, he took part in that killing of Karen Koslow.
Clearly acknowledging that,
Yeah.
pleading guilty.
Mm-hmm. So his sentence ensured he would die in prison, but ultimately that testimony, the reason for that plea, was to help seal the fate of Kristi Koslow.
And that sets up a showdown with Kristi and Jack Koslow.
Yes, it does. Why don't you tell us about it?
So that trial started in June of 1994. And she entered the Tarrant County Courthouse wearing a navy dress and glasses, looking much younger. Not that 20 years old is old, but she looked much younger than her 20 years. A young girl is what she was trying to portray herself to be. But her father took the stand. And where did that go?
Jack Koslow said about Kristi, she killed the woman I loved. She gave Karen death, and that's what she deserves.
Own father.
Own father. That reaction, that response, I would imagine that's was quite powerful for the prosecutors.
Yeah.
For certain, right? I don't know that there's, frankly, I've never heard of another case. I've never read about another case where that scenario has presented itself.
Well, it just seems so counterintuitive to the love of a parent.
Mm-hmm.
As you well know, as a parent, involves a lot of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Kids screw up all the time, do stupid stuff all the time. You even see victims of, the families of victims of homicides. Some of them, not all of them certainly, some of them even offer forgiveness to the assailant.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems counterintuitive that a father would not, under any circumstance, without any reservation whatsoever, almost demand that his own daughter be put to death, that she deserves a death penalty.
Like I said, that was a pretty powerful part of the case for sure. I mean, still kind of, that was kind of one of those kind of unreal moments when, we're going through this. Because, frankly, like for us, I mean, we've heard about this story for years, right? Everybody knows on our side of town. I mean, there's always these little one-offs or kind of have that 30,000-foot view of the story.
Yeah.
But when you start digging in, it's stuff like that most people don't know or don't remember. That's never part of the story.
So you brought up an interesting point in the last episode about this trend in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Young girls or women or teens or however you want to describe them, being involved in these similar plots. We had one in just a few years after this one. Well, I guess it was about 5 years from this point, 4 years. I think that case was in 97, 98. The Cadet murders, which of course has been told to a national audience now. But in that case, that was a year. No, because we're coming up on 30 years, so that was just merely a year after this.
I think it was 95 or 96.
It was 95 is when it was. Diane Zamora, a jealous Diane Zamora,
mm-hmm.
I guess asked, I don't know how you'd say it, that her boyfriend, David Graham, murder a young girl, and I with all due respect, I believe her name was Adrian Jones. Adrian Jones. Because he had a fling with her on a school trip.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other case you were talking about? That was
Well, there was another one in Fort Worth, but I think this one, with this case, there was a few things that obviously the female kind of masterminding this, right? But the other part that I think is kind of interesting, it has to do with more of the socioeconomic status of at least Kristi, right? I mean, frankly, it's rare. I mean, it happens, but it's rare that the wealthy commit violent crimes.
I mean, usually crime is committed because of lack of resources.
Yeah, exactly.
Need money.
There's like desperation.
Need money for drugs. Right. Hungry.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are starving that they steal, of course.
Yeah. So with this one, I mean, like I said, you have a couple elements. You've got that. You've got the female. You've got wealthy or from well-to-do means. I think ultimately it boils down to this. Whenever I look at crime, and this is just my take on it, right? There's a couple things. You have a genetic component. Are people predisposed to crime?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. Then you have your environment.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Learned stuff. Yeah.
Right. What would explain her then? Not her environment. What would explain her motive?
So, I mean, she did come from dysfunction. Her parents were divorced. I have no idea what the conditions of the divorce were. Whether what Pauline, I think was her name, what she received in that divorce. So Kristi was not a regular at the Koslow house. She lived with her mother. Her father's, obviously successful, lived in Rivercrest. So she was not from that. She didn't live there 100% of the time is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
So I get down to this. Is it a fine balance of genetics and environment? Mm-hmm. Right? I don't think to me, I think that there are certain people that would be predisposed to criminal behavior.
Yeah.
Right? Many of us, most of society has the ability to say, you know what, that's probably not a good idea. I'm not going to follow through with that act.
Yeah.
Or it just simply doesn't enter their mind.
Right.
Right. But then you get in, like I said, into that environmental element to where even if you don't have the predisposition to be involved in it, if that's what you grow up around, if that's what you see, that's your conflict resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So with her, it brings on all these weird elements, right? I mean, it's just very, there's not a ton of cases like this. I mean, since then even. I mean, there's some, but I mean, certainly it's certainly, not a equal scale, if you will, of like how many dudes kill someone, for example. The other thing, and I think to bring all that up, you start looking at the concept of capital murder, right? So what was their motive? Their motive was to get money. Mm-hmm. That was the reason for the murder, i.e. that's what enhances it to the capital murder. A
lot of people get confused about the various types of murder. In Texas, we have negligent homicide. Is that the minor? Manslaughter?
Well, I mean, you have a murder, a capital murder. The murder and capital murder would be the primary two.
So there's only two. There's not like second degree murder.
No, there's not like that.
Stuff.
Not here.
Not in Texas, exactly. Mm-hmm. Some states do have that.
Correct. A capital murder, one example, someone murders a peace officer or a firefighter.
Mm-hmm. That's automatically a capital
in the line of duty, right?
All right.
The person intentionally commits the murder in the course of committing or attempting to commit there's specific crimes: kidnapping, burglary, robbery, aggravated sexual assault, arson, obstruction, terroristic threat.
So murder in commission of one of those,
right?
And one of the All right.
The person commits the murder for remuneration or the promise of remuneration, or employs another to commit the murder for remuneration.
Oh, there you go. That's what this is.
There you go. Rare, for sure. But I think the other thing is she's looking at, guilty of capital murder, it could mean the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, we're in Texas. I mean, I don't know that there's any other states that utilize the death sentence more than we do. That's a hard case. If you're prosecuting the case, I've never been a prosecutor, but how do you paint the story that, hey, yeah, we the state should go put this 19, even the dad said that's what she deserves.
Mm-hmm.
That's still, that's definitely got its challenges, for sure. Ultimately, with Koslow, she dodged the death penalty.
Yeah.
She got her life sentence with her possibility of parole after 35 years. So it's coming up in 2 years. 2027 is when she is set for that. You actually did a request,
Pending.
Still pending.
It's pending.
Yeah. Well, maybe if that is at some point not pending, we can come back and touch on this if you have the opportunity to go down there and talk to her. Recap on the sentences. Dillingham, put to death, convicted of the capital murder. He never took a plea deal. Salter, life in prison. Koslow, life in prison.
That trial went 8 days. I believe the jury deliberated 5 hours, came back with guilty of capital murder.
And Dillingham was executed by lethal injection in 2000.
I found Dillingham's final statement.
Hey, is his last meal included?
It is, actually. Would you like to know what it was?
Yeah, I am intrigued by those.
He had a cheeseburger with American cheddar mozzarella cheese, mayonnaise, mustard, onions, large fries, bowl of macaroni and cheese, lasagna with 2 slices of garlic bread, 4 ounces of nacho cheese.
Like in a cup or something?
I don't know. Doesn't say. 3 large cinnamon rolls, 5 scrambled eggs, and 8 pints
Good.
of chocolate milk.
God. Have you ever tried to replicate someone's final meal?
No, I haven't.
Kind of interesting.
I'm not interested in that one. I'll tell you that.
I feel like that should be a show segment.
Yeah.
We could do that.
I think we
Good idea.
We could actually eat their final meal while we're doing the show.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
That's not a bad idea.
I like it.
This is brainstorming.
I gotta say though, it definitely, when you read his final meal, it's like that's somebody that got incarcerated young in life.
Oh,
I mean, it's like he never left his teenage years, right? That's what a teenager would eat.
Bull 'em.
It's interesting when granted, not to get off topic, but if you look at or talk to
late.
people who have gone into the system really young, when they get out, how hard it is for them to get back into society because they developed in their formidable development years of adulthood incarcerated, so they just don't know how to act.
Exactly, and we've done cases, and we'll do more. I can assure you, where like Charles Manson, they don't know how to survive outside the penal system.
If I'm going back to the final meal, like if I'm not going out on a high note. If I know tomorrow,
I'm eating a steak, man.
no, I'm doing something just horrible.
Oh, you mean like a
Like a puree of beets and sardines or something, like just something terrible.
So that when they have to clean you afterwards,
Yeah.
it's just disgusting.
Yeah, payback.
yeah. Well, maybe that's what he was thinking.
I could be. Anyway.
Wait, so has there been anything that's been released about the murder? Kristi was her name, right?
Yeah.
About Kristi's her psyche, was she classified like a sociopath or anything like that? I wouldn't be shocked if she was a sociopath.
They never went into great detail. Honestly, in looking at her hit, she went off the rails at a super young age, right? And you could start to see that. And again, I don't want to paint.
She bounced around schools.
Bounced around school. I don't want to paint this with like a broad brush, but she leaves the affluent private school going into her freshman year.
Yeah.
She goes at the time. Heights was probably a highly rated high school if they did ratings. That doesn't last. She goes to, I think we used to call them alternative schools.
Yeah, I think it is an alternative school.
She's going off the rails somewhere. Who knows? Perhaps it was the divorce. Perhaps, like I said, I would stand by that. I think that, there's just something not ticking right up there if you're planning the murder of your dad and your stepmom, right? But I don't recall any kind of formal diagnosis. I didn't read anything about that.
Well, there must have been testimony, Ashley, that was in her favor, I suppose, because the jury ultimately decided not to give her the death penalty because she was not a threat to society. It's a great question, though.
If you get to talk to her or interview her at some point down the road, maybe we can figure out a little more about her psyche.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
We can make assumptions based on our epic lack of being able to diagnose people, but still try.
Yes.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I said, we just play psychiatrists on
I mean,
mental health workers.
I mean, as somebody who loves studying that kind of stuff, like people's psyche and why serial killers do what they do and those things, it either sounded like she's a sociopath or she was abused heavily growing up.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule either of those out. There's no way. I mean, in terms of, there's no way I would rule those out.
I mean, why do people do this stuff? And it's very complicated, clearly. So let me right quick. Jeffrey Dillingham's final words, according to murderpedia.org. That's what it says, Ashley. I just do the reporting. But he said, quote, I would like to apologize to the victim's family for what I did. I take full responsibility for that poor woman's death, for the pain and suffering inflicted on Mr. Koslow. Father, he's talking about God the Father. Father, I want to thank you for all the beautiful people you put in my life. I could not have asked for two greater parents than you gave me. I could just ask for two greater people. I could just ask for two greater people in their life now. Not sure I understand that one. It is a blessing that there are people that they love so much, but even more so people that I love so much. He really needed to take this through some sort of program on grammar and clarity. I thank you for all the things you have done in my life, for the ways that you have opened my eyes, softened my heart, the ways that you have taught me, for teaching me how to love, for all the bad things you have taken out of my life, for all the good things you have added to it. I thank you for all the beautiful promises that you make us in your word, and I graciously received every one of them. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for getting me off death row, in this instance, the permanent solution, and for bringing me home out of prison. I love you, Heavenly Father. I love you, Jesus. Thank you both for loving me. Amen. Our current Senator, John Cornyn, who's running for re-election, was the Texas Attorney General, announced that the execution had been executed. And he goes on to say that that Dillingham confessed to police about the murder and the involvement of a friend who helped him dispose of the evidence. The gentleman in Arlington, Salter, confessed to police implicating Dillingham, and Dillingham told police that he tried to plan the killings the best he could because he did, quote, not want to get caught. And then, of course, the friend who helped Dillingham. So this also includes, it's also worth to note, going back to our previous conversation, that none of these defendants had any previous criminal history.
Nope.
Dillingham came from a really good family.
Yeah.
With what sounded like strong structure and support. So God knows how this happens. But he was put to death in 2000. His appeals went all the way to the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, which denied his final appeal.
Well, that takes us to the not the aftermath, but some of the things, after the convictions, the death, all that. Little interesting sports tidbit.
Oh, I'm always interested in sports tidbits.
Yeah, that's one about the.
We talked about that Texas Tech bet, by the way. Oh.
No, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
But the sports reference on this. Do you know who bought the Koslow house?
I don't.
Former Yankee baseball player, the American League president, Dr. Bobby Brown.
Oh, yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Bought it shortly after.
The late Dr. Bobby Brown.
The late Dr. Bob, not even a year after. 93, somewhere in that time frame.
You keep it intact? Or if he tore it down and built
No, it's still there. No, it is.
How much did he buy it for?
You got a good discount on that, is what you're saying.
That's what
I don't quote me on the exact. It was somewhere. I think it was somewhere in the 350, 400K range back then.
Yeah, that today that gets you one bedroom.
Yeah, barely. It's definitely it's gotta be north of $2 million now for sure.
Oh, good God, yeah.
So
Jake, if you don't know, is hotshot realtor around town.
What a hot shot.
He knows neighborhoods in Fort Worth, Texas. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, that's from driving around a lot or whatever. So, but yeah, that kind of concludes the Koslow murder.
And a lot of people are, still asking the same questions we are about, how does this happen? The whole crime and punishment, are you better off dead or alive? Dillingham was clearly felt he was being liberated by being sent to across the plain into another sphere. And I certainly understand that emotion. That concludes our first case
of this new iteration.
Of the Signal 51 Chronicles. We thank all of you for being so patient on our return, and we welcome you back, and we welcome back our new listeners. Our new viewers, excuse me. We don't have listeners anymore. I guess you can listen to it.
Still listen to it.
Ashley, where can they find us?
They can find you guys on the Sunset Lounge, DFW, on YouTube and every other major platform, as well as on Patreon under the Sunset Lounge DFW. And then y'all will also, we have not, I'll put them up for you guys. And then we also will have our own YouTube page, the Signal 51 Chronicles, as well.
All right. And selfishly, I've never been on TikTok. Do I get to be on TikTok?
You can totally be on TikTok.
I can do TikTok?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. I like TikTok. I actually quite like TikTok.
All right.
I didn't think I would be that person, but I do.
All right, Mal. I hear you. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
This is a Stolen Water Media production.